So here's the thing about Wi-Fi routers. I don't really know how they work. I mean, everybody says it's radios and technology like that. I think it's magic. And that brings me to this, the Eero 6 Pro, which Amazon has sent over. Now, I get it, it's really nerdy to geek out about routers, right? But I had a good reason for this one. I had fiber put into the house this spring, and well, it's fast. It's really fast. And I wanted to see if I could get wireless speeds a little bit faster for the family now that everybody's been working and schooling from home a lot more this year. And, you know, it looks a whole hell of a lot better than the old alien-looking router that I've had here in the living room. So, is the Eero Pro 6 gonna be the one for me? Let's go check it out. So I was only half joking about the magic thing earlier, right? No, I know it's not magic, it's all because of Hetty Lamar. Thank you, Hetty. She helped invent the technology that does all this. And yeah, there's a lot of science in routers because we're talking about radios and stuff. But there's a lot of art too, because my home is different than your home, right? It's made out of different materials, it's shaped differently. I have walls in different places, and all of these things affect the devices that I use every day. So the short version is, what I get here is gonna be different than what you get at home. I'm just trying to touch on the basics here so we can figure out what this Eero is all about. Now this is actually the first time I've used an Eero. It's not the first time I've used mesh routers before, but it's the first time for Eero for me. Now the deal with the mesh system is instead of one big router in the middle of the home, you have smaller nodes strategically placed throughout the home. So I have one main one here in the living room. I put another one in my kid's bedroom on the far side of the house to get to the solar array that's way out there on the outside, and it's always taken a little extra to get out there. And I put one in the garage just because I could. Don't judge me. Now the Eero 6 line is using Wi-Fi 6, that's also known as 802.11.ax. That is the fastest standard of wireless speed that you can get today. There is also the Eero 6 Non-Pro. I actually have it here. It only has 2 radios instead of 3. It looks a little more like a cupcake, which is what everybody calls it. But I'm gonna stick to the Pro here because, damn it, I want the speed. So setup is super simple. There are 2 ports on the back of this thing. You plug your modem into one of them. I actually have a whole bunch of stuff wired in here in the house. So I have an unmanaged switch hidden away in this cabinet, and don't judge me on my cable management, boys and girls. It's my house. And that plugs into the other one. So super simple. The other nodes go in the other parts of the house and they just connect wirelessly. Very simple. So what's an Eero like to use? Well, pretty nice actually. Now it's one of these new breeds of routers that only lets you connect with it through a phone, right? You're not gonna be managing this through an old school web browser and that awful interface. For most people, that's gonna be just fine, right? This is really the cleaner way to do it. For me, I'm used to the old interface. I like being able to do it from a computer instead of a phone, but you get used to it easily enough. And Eero's app is actually really, really good. They did a really nice job with it. It's simple to set up. It's simple to see what devices you have connected. It's really easy to see what's using data and how much data it's using. You can see what's connected to which node. You can make groups of things. So if, say, you want to turn off all your kids' devices to the internet at one time, you can do that. They make it really easy. Eero also does its own speed tests, so they make it really easy to see how fast the internet is actually coming into your home and getting from the modem to the router. Now, the speeds from the router to your devices, that's another story, right? Back to the app for a second though. Where things really start getting interesting are these tabs down at the bottom, Discover and Activity. So let's start with Discover. It's got 3 sections. There's Eero Labs, there's Connected Home, and there's Secure. Now, Labs is a whole bunch of beta stuff. Even says so right there. It does band steering, which theoretically will keep your devices connected to the 5 gigahertz radio, which has fatter bandwidth and lets more devices connect and stay faster. 5 gigahertz is what you want, it's just better. It also lets you turn on WPA3 for extra security, and that's a really good thing, and I've just left all that on. And there's also this Amazon Connected Home section, which I have turned on, even though I don't actually have any Alexa devices in my home, but whatever. Oh, and yeah, by the way, Eero is owned by Amazon. I have some thoughts on that. I've decided to let that go for the time being, but it is something you want to be aware of. And finally, there's Eero Secure. Now, this is a section you're going to want to spend a little more time on, so let's go do that now. So Eero Secure is a lot of built-in ad blocking and threat detection stuff. So you get a month free, and after that, it's $3 a month or $30 a year. And that's actually a really good price for that sort of thing. There's also Eero Secure Plus, which is $10 a month or $100 a year. And that adds on some really cool stuff. You get 1Password for password management. That's what I use. I love it. It's a great app. You get Malwarebytes, and you get a VPN. Now, everybody needs a VPN, right? We've talked about passwords. We've talked about VPNs. Go watch those videos. Super important. But let's go back to Eero Secure for a second. I don't really know what this protect your devices from threats means. I guess that'll keep me from visiting bad sites, whatever those are. And I don't use any sort of filtering for family-safe browsing because, well, my family's gonna be different than yours, whatever. But don't say I didn't warn you when your kids find a way around all this stuff. They're kids, that's what they do. Finally, there's all the ad blocking. Now, this is something I've actually been working a lot with lately because also in this cabinet from hell, I have buried in there a Raspberry Pi running Pi-hole. Yes, I'll do a video on that at some point, I promise, but here's the short version. Eero's ad blocking is really, really easy to use. Pi-holes is a little more labor intensive, right? You gotta set it up yourself, you gotta manage it yourself, but it does a really good job of showing you what's actually being blocked. Eero doesn't really do that, and it doesn't seem to block as much stuff as Pi-hole, just not nearly as customizable. So pick your poison, one or the other. Pi-hole is also free once you have the Raspberry Pi hardware. That's it, you just gotta take your time and set it up. So me, I think I'm gonna go back to using Pi-hole when all this is done, but having Eero with all that built in and you just pay them a little bit of money a year, really, really simple and it's really good. Finally, let's talk about speed because that's what all this was actually about, right? So the short version is before with my Netgear Nighthawk R8000, you gotta say it like that or it doesn't work because it's a Nighthawk. And it looks like that, which is insane. So I was getting about 800 or 900 megabits per second down and up when I was plugged in. It's pretty insane. It's really fast. It's almost true gigabit, right? So wireless, that's a different story. I was getting about 300 down and 400 up on my MacBook Pro, and about the same on the phones too. So figured that the Eero 6 Pro should be faster, right? Well, here's where that whole art versus science magic stuff comes back in. So plugged in with MacBook into the Eero, everything's fine, 800, 900 down, up, same old story, right? Wireless, on the other hand, is also the same old story, right? I thought it was gonna be faster, but it's not. I'm still getting about 300, 400 wirelessly here on this iPhone. Now, that's not bad. I'm not complaining. For me, this is more of a theoretical exercise. How much faster can I get the wireless speeds to go? But right now, they're about the same, which is a little weird. Now, some of that could be software based, and that's where the story of Eero continues, right? They're really good on the software. They are continuously updating it. I've been using it for a couple weeks now. I've already had a couple big updates. Eero is also really good on the customer support side. If you have questions, if you need help, Reddit is really good. They are all over Reddit. They're customer service people. They will lend you a hand. So I don't think I'm seeing anything wrong. I'm just not seeing any sort of magical speed increase. But remember, your mileage will almost certainly vary. You might get faster, you might not. You just have to see, have to try it for yourself. So at the end of the day though, I absolutely have no problem recommending Eero, and that's for a couple reasons. One, future-proofing, right? It has all the text and all the specs that you need for this sort of thing. Two, it just looks a hell of a lot better out here, right? I would much rather have this in the living room than some alien router looking thing. Same goes for my wife, she likes this a lot more, it just looks better. And it does what I want it to do, and it does it really well and really simply, and it's super easy to use. So that's it for the Eero Pro 6. If you got any more questions, go find me on the socials, hit me up in the comments. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, we got a lot more coming. That's it, see ya.